Today I'm joined by Chavah Golden, Clarity and Perspective Coach. Chavah, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I can't wait to hear about your story, so let's get into it. Can you share a little bit about your background and how you started working with thought leader entrepreneurs?
Okay, my background was in organization development, and I found that it was pretty hard to turn a big ship like a business, and I wasn't interested that much in doing something every day that never worked. So I sort of jumped ship, and I took off and went on my own, which was rather a struggle, but Um, I've always sought to find that one little thing that'll change everything. And it's been a journey. I was hired, well, first of all, I started by having a company called Computing Solutions. And what we did is we customized Macintosh training, not just computer, but Macintosh training for ad agencies, for marketing departments, and people who used graphics. So I didn't know how to use a computer. I just knew it did that. And I wanted it because it made circles. So I hired a staff, of course. And, long story short, it was more expensive than I thought, but I always got through it. And what happened is the University of Chicago found us and they wanted to train their staff, but they don't use outside people. So they needed to put their name on the marquee on the bottom. So we were now the University of Chicago. So while we were training them, custom training, it was all, they liked that. And they decided to hire me at the University of Chicago. So I went there and I led a leadership program where I hired people, made courses and so on. When they then decided, I kept getting noticed in the university for something about my I could deal with ambiguity. I could do a lot of things. So people in the university would hire me off time to consult to them. And it just kept going like that. So people would find me. And I went to a doctor appointment to be in a study. And this doctor said, I said, no, I don't want to do the study. Why? I told him. He said, whoa, you're so smart. I want to hire you. So he hired me. And, and this is where it all started with him. He had a radio show, and I helped him with his speech. That was the thought. Well, also, I forgot about Stedman Graham. Let me back up slightly. Stedman Graham, I have worked for since the 1990s. How could I forget that? And I am called his litmus test. I would help him write his books. I would help him decide his programs. I would help him with any sort of high level thinking stuff he'd call me about, or I worked full time for him too, at the same time that I was working with this other guy because he didn't hire me full time. So the doctor had a radio show and he needed help sometimes in not talking doctor language. He wanted to have the people who were listening understand what he was talking about. So he'd tell me and I'd help him translate it into English. And we worked on his radio show, and he called me in the moment. Like I had to take my phone when I'm doing laundry. I had to take my phone everywhere, ready to jump in and help him on the spot. So there lies the decision for me to start with in the moment coaching. And it flourished. It's amazing because when I talk to someone in the moment, they're raw, they're open, they're ready to go. And I talk to really people in dilemmas. I have a dilemma for you. They call me with a dilemma. And they're so wanting, they're so open. And that's how I work. We have a whole process. We excavate. We use a lot of humor and metaphors that really get them off the intellectual thing. It's not like therapy. You just call when you're in the middle of something. And that's where I'm at right now. And it's really, really, and I worked on this one thing that changes everything during all of this. And I came to it. And that's what I do. That's perspective.
I love how all those pieces connect. What an incredible journey. So, obviously, you've worked with a lot of leaders over the years. How has your definition of leadership changed?
Oh my gosh, my definition of leadership changed. I thought leaders led, but really leaders attract followers that aren't followers, but also lead with them. It's sort of a co-leading thing, but the leader is the one who sort of facilitates the direction and the conversation and the strategy and has to be clear. The team who are also leaders, if allowed, and I find that the best kind of leadership that I've seen, they get things done.
And they do so by allowing others to interact, to lead.
To exactly to contribute, and leaders who ask questions rather than make rather demands or give them a list of a job description is good, of course, but it doesn't, it can't be. I've seen that micromanaging doesn't work that well with people as far as like getting broad work done rather than just like step by step things that people need to do
How does leadership show up for you operationally? How do you lead?
operationally. I lead by I lead by going with people. That's the easiest way to say it. And people say that to me. They say that I listen extremely well. I mean, I'm not, I guess I do. And I go with them on their journey. I'm leading them by going with them. And how I lead them is I lead them by giving them ideas, maybe, or helping them see themselves in a metaphorical way or even in a funny way. And I, they land where they should to work in sync. It's hard to say how I lead.
I love that. If I understand correctly, it's by being open, asking questions, meeting them where they are, and helping them along their journey.
Right, and kind of going with them on their journey. It's like hand in hand. It's helping them definitely. But I have to say they help me as much because they're helping me create this whole program that I've created.
That's amazing. What's one question that you think leaders should ask themselves more often but rarely do?
Oh, well, how can we change?
Mm.
That's the question.
Why do you think people don't ask that?
They do ask that. How can we change? But they don't do that. I wrote an article once, it's called, I forgot what it is, like change in a sandbox or something like that. It's just like they just get a new sandbox and new little things to build inside. That's what frustrated me about my education and what I first went into organization development is, yeah, how can we change? We're going to have you here. One company actually hired me to help them sell their service. And so they said, go do how you do. And I came back and the CEO just slammed her desk and she said, how do you think? I was trying to hear what the client needs and then line them up with a program. But she wanted me to list all the programs and have them pick one. So she actually fired me because I was too creative. She hired me because I was creative, but fired me because I was too creative. And that's what I mean by that. She wanted somebody creative. She wanted somebody that would change, somebody that would help them sell, but she just would not let me get past how she wanted it done.
That's so interesting that they're asking for change. They're looking to you for that, but they want it within their own.
Exactly.
What's one truth about leadership or business that you would share with new entrepreneurs?
Oh, wow. Okay. One truth that I would share would be that, I'm going to say something. A king is not a king without people. A leader is not a leader without people. The people have to want the leader. So be wanted. I would say. And I would say, don't hire somebody because they're like you. Hire people who are different than you, but have the same outlook, who want the same result, and may have a new way of seeing it, and listen to them. That's what I would say.
I like that. You mentioned being wanted as a leader. Can you unpack that a little for us and explain what you mean by that?
Yeah. When I first started my company, Computing Solutions, I had never had a company. Of course, and I didn't know how graphics and I didn't know computers. And here I'm starting a computer graphics training company. So it was at first, it was computer rental like Kinko's was, but a company called and asked, could we train them? So actually, I said, oh, yes, we're just getting ready for that. And I had to go rent an office, paint it, get like 8 computers on my dime, which was, I guess, worth something. And everybody joined. Everybody joined. We painted it. We stayed late. We set up the Macs, and they came in. This was like, I forgot. It wasn't Sarah Lee. It was Helene Curtis. They came in and, oh yeah, we've been doing this for a long time, and so that's they wanted to be led, and I wanted to lead, and it's kind of a mixture. Like who's leading who? They needed to lead because I didn't know computers.
It sounds like it's a bit of a meeting of the minds and energy and vision.
Absolutely, and sharing it and appreciating each other.
I love that. That's amazing. If you could give your clients one piece of advice, what would that be?
It's very passé to say, but I would say be open. But it's not, you don't just, if I say be open, somebody doesn't suddenly be open. But what I would say is call me in the moment with your dilemma when you're emotional, and don't be afraid to call me and interrupt my meal. Just call me and we'll unpack it, and you'll go away faster, better than you would if you waited till Tuesday when you have your therapy appointment.
So address the situation in the moment.
In the moment of your emotion. Yes, that's what I tell them.
And looking back, what's one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Myself. Always be curious, always be creating, always be adjusting. Not totally like topsy-turvy, but always listen and apply, I'd say.
We all learn most when things don't go according to plan. Was there a moment or some time where something happened that didn't meet your expectations? And what did...
So I was starting the business. Here's how I started it. We were at a Macintosh users group because I didn't know how to use a Mac. I didn't have a company yet. And they said, there was a room of about 300 people. And they said, does anyone here have a printer? Because everybody had a new Mac, but they couldn't print. I said, I do. And I didn't. So I said, okay, so we're going to set this up. My husband had a print company, so he could print like a printing people do, but not a printer off the computer. And so they all wanted my number. I said, oh no, I have to get a printer. So I found out that the printer was $6,000. And of course I had to get the Macs that they could rent. But lo and behold, it was a holiday, and it was hard to get it delivered, this printer. I finally figured out how to get one, but that was the scary thing. That didn't turn out so well. That I got everything, and now they couldn't deliver it. And I had to deliver it. I said, you have to deliver it. I forgot how this happened, but my vision is that somehow they carried it through this big parade that was going on downtown. I don't know if that's really true, but that's what I remember. They carried it to us because they couldn't drive. And that's how I dealt with it. I dealt with it by shaking a little bit, but believing that it could happen.
It's like taking the leap and hoping and knowing that the parachute will open on the way down.
Yes, even though I couldn't find the string.
Someone else found it for you. So it's all good. It's all good.
it's kind of like share yourself, and somehow things work because people are willing to help when you really need them.
Has that sort of been a life motto of yours? Is just sort of the way you walk through life, is sharing yourself, being open?
Yeah. I guess it's sort of like people. I don't have this motto to make people want me or need me, but it seems that's what I do.
What's one big success or moment that you're most proud of?
I'm just so I was so proud that I could do that. I just looked at that room and there everything was working. The people came in, they started flowing in, and that was my proudest moment.
That's amazing. Can you recall what prompted you to sort of raise your hand and say, "Yeah, I have a printer," even though you knew you didn't?
I thought, well, I don't have one either, and I want one because I have a Mac. I guess I don't know what went through my mind. My hand, it just went up like that.
That's amazing, and all for the better. And look what's happened as a result of that.
Exactly. It was everything because the university, everything came from that.
You've clearly come a long way. What does your next chapter look like, and what are you excited to build?
I'm excited to build a whole network of people that change their perspective for the absolute good. There's a lot of, especially leaders, because there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of disappointment in oneself. And it doesn't have to be that way. I'm working with someone who procrastinates. She's really afraid. She's a manager, and is, she doesn't like to she sees managing as something she doesn't like to do, but she sees managing differently than she has to. So I'm working with her to see managing differently so that she can be herself. I want to see people be themselves, be strong, and be wanted and needed. And just by being, not just by being themselves, by bettering themselves to be who people need them to be and who they need to be. That's what I want to do. I'd like to swell the world with people like that.
I love that vision. That's a beautiful vision, and it sounds like you've started creating that already. And I'm sure there's a few more people that could.
Oh, there's a few. There's a few. I always can use their help too.
Have it. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Where can our listeners find you online?
Oh, they can find me they don't see what you saw. I mean, they do see what you saw, but they don't see what I just told you. When they go to Chavah at growthteamservices.com, I mean, not that's my email, growthteamservices.com, they can see my website, but it's what you saw. That's a hard question for me. They just have to call me, I guess, right now, text me. And people, I never had to learn how to have people find me because they always found me and they still do. So I think text me is the best thing. Now I have a course that I recorded and I can put that somewhere, but I'm still working on getting the word out. That's the advice I need for myself because I never really had to get the word out there. And there's so many ways I'm sort of baffled by everything.
Well, we'll put the links to your website, and you do have a LinkedIn profile, so we will.
LinkedIn's the best. LinkedIn's the best. I've gotten the most people.
We'll share your LinkedIn profile in the show notes. And Hava, thank you again so much for joining me on the Leadership Lab.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you for spending your time with me today on the Leadership Lab podcast. My hope is that this conversation sparked a new perspective or reinforced something you already knew. Until next time, keep leading with curiosity and intention.